My husband says to me, a little ice cream cone, a small happiness from childhood, street ice cream, American style, just like I used to eat as a kid. So my husband and I went out to get some ice cream. I'm walking and thinking, how much sugar is in there, for God's sake? How much we're paying for this little bit of childhood happiness? And what effect it's going to have on an adult body that's already not in the best shape? Chunk of happiness. Everyone knows that ice cream isn't exactly healthy, but we all eat it anyway. Let's figure out how much of it you can really eat, when you can eat it, who shouldn't eat it, and most importantly, whether it's dangerous for your figure and your skin, and how many calories are actually in it. Nobody knows. They just say, well, it's just ice cream. That doesn't fit into my idea. It's just ice cream after all. So first we'll take a look at how we eat it, and then I'll do a detailed breakdown of the calories using different types of ice cream as examples. Store-bought ice cream, street ice cream in restaurants, because if you're going to eat it, you should know, guys, how many extra calories you're going to pay for it. And it's better to just balance it out over the week. In general, no foods are strictly forbidden. The real question is how often you can eat it, and during which periods it's better to avoid it, especially if you have specific goals related to your body type. Go? Подожди, я все сниму. Побежали. То есть вы перлись вот за вот этим вот, чтобы вы понимали. Эта штука. Ладно. It's really what you want?
Yeah, it's exactly what I want. Oh, I see.
Why you want it so much?
Because it's traditional American ice cream.
Traditional American ice cream? Like
it's
traditional Russian пельмени.
yes. I want a twist, chocolate vanilla with chocolate sprinkles and a cake cone.
Small, medium.
Medium.
Yeah.
What do you want? The
Similar.
same thing?
Да,
You want small or medium?
small.
And then the same thing but small.
That's it, exactly. Minus, press, and plus.
Why do I look so big, Matrushka?
Because you eat a lot of calories. I don't look big like you.
Big like me.
I need promotion amazing. You think it's bulletproof window?
Nah,
Why?
because there's bars and it looks like it's a thick window.
This is small. This is big. Мне кажется, когда я посчитаю, сколько здесь калорий, я умру. Just how many calories are actually contained within this particular item, I will undoubtedly and quite dramatically expire. What exactly would you then choose?
My pain in the butt.
What you can tell me about this?
Classic American ice cream.
It's like donuts.
Maybe. Similar.
It beautifully blends the comforting essence of traditional dumplings with the rich, indulgent taste of chocolate. Imagine a tender, soft dough encasing a warm, gooey chocolate filling, creating a truly satisfying culinary experience. They represent a wonderful fusion of sweet and savory, offering a distinctly American twist on a classic comfort food, perfect for those who appreciate a decadent treat. And a lot of chocolate dumplings. This contains about 35 to 40 grams of sugar. That's about 9 to 10 teaspoons of sugar. Store-bought ice cream like an Eskimo bar in chocolate. That would be 300 to 350 calories for one ice cream bar. 35 to 40 grams of sugar, and that's about 9 to 10 spoonfuls. So it's about the same as that giant-sized street ice cream. Although this is an Eskimo bar, it's a small one. And it seems like one Eskimo bar isn't a problem. But I remember times in my life during depressive periods when I would eat 3 Eskimo bars in a row. I would reassure myself that they were made with coconut milk, that it was keto. And keto implies it's extremely fatty. So I would eat 3 of them. And I was like, keto. I'm on keto. No problem. Restaurant ice cream is my passion. Because I lived for a long time in a city where we had it. Absolutely amazing gelato on the promenade. There's this wonderful gelato in Gelenjic, but it's just insane. A real Italian makes it himself, and it's honestly really cool. But I would eat about 3 scoops per serving. I mean, 1 scoop is pretty big, 350 calories per serving. There are about 45 to 55 grams of sugar in it. That's 11 to 13 teaspoons of sugar. If you add toppings or cookies or any extras, it can go up to 600 or even 700 calories and up to 15 teaspoons of sugar, friends. That's pretty hardcore, yeah. Especially when you've already had your first and second courses in compote. And then you go for a frozen dessert. By the way, this is part of our food culture. Because that's the kind of food culture my family, my parents had. So it's normal for us to go out for dinner. I mean, we really stuffed ourselves. And then we'd be like, hey, let's go have some coffee with ice cream. So it turns out that for dinner alone, we probably ate about 1,100 calories each. And then another roughly 700 calories from the gelato. Because you don't just want 1 scoop, you want 2. And you don't just want plain ice cream. You want vanilla with some kind of toppings. And there you have it, almost 2,000 calories in a single meal. Just like that, out of nowhere. So if someone is trying to keep their figure and not gain weight even once a week is already too much. That is when it happens once a month and you have well-controlled eating during the week. For example, you eat a lot of salads, you cut down on carbs, you only have healthy carbs, you don't eat any bread, nothing sweet, then maybe it's okay. But if it's just ingrained in your eating culture, like going out a couple of times a week in the evening after you've already eaten, so you're not even hungry because no one thinks of ice cream as something to satisfy hunger. Ice cream is like having a drink of water after you've eaten. But just one ice cream, as we've just figured out, can easily have anywhere from 500 to 700 calories. And that's a lot. 700 calories is half the daily allowance for a woman trying to lose weight, someone my height, 1.73 meters. Next, let's talk about sugar spoons. I mentioned earlier that on average, there are between 9 and 13 teaspoons of sugar in a serving of ice cream. How many teaspoons of sugar are considered normal for a person? I dug up some data from the World Health Organization, and here's what it says. For women, up to 25 grams of sugar per day, which is 6 teaspoons. It's also important to note that it's not about stirring teaspoons of sugar directly into your tea and making it super sweet. No, that's not the case. What is meant is 6 teaspoons of sugar in total from all sources. For example, if you eat slightly sweetened yogurts, American food contains a huge amount of sugar in almost everything. Meat, sausages, cheeses, practically everything except greens. You'll find quite a lot of sugar. So basically, even if you don't eat sugar in its pure form in America, like pastries, sweets, honey, or any kind of sugar, even stevia, you'll still end up consuming your 25 grams, honestly, just because you eat, say, store-bought products from Publix and don't specifically buy organic. Or even if you do, you might not read the organic labels carefully. Men can have a bit more, 36 grams of sugar, which is 9 teaspoons. This is probably because generally they are more active, have larger bodies, and apparently burn more calories. But this doesn't apply to every man or every body type, because there are also men with quite small body frames. In short, a single street ice cream cone almost reaches the daily sugar limit for a woman, and it's about 2/3 of the daily limit for a man. Store-bought or restaurant ice cream can average out to 1.5 to 2 daily limits in just one dessert. So that's quite a lot. And it's better to know this in advance, right? When you're deciding whether to eat it. How does sugar affect the body? I'm not going to give a long lecture about sugar right now. I'll just recommend you watch the first film about sugar. It's excellent. The second film about sugar isn't much different from the first, but it does have an interesting idea. A life hack for those with a sweet tooth. How you can sometimes eat sugar without causing insulin resistance, so your insulin levels don't spike. The main idea there is that if you eat fiber first, for example, let's say you eat a bunch of greens and then have half a chocolate bar, the sugar, because the fiber has coated everything inside your stomach after being digested, won't be able to enter your bloodstream quickly like it usually does. Instead, it will be absorbed gradually, and there won't be insulin spikes, because insulin spikes trigger the accumulation of fat tissue. There's a specific mechanism at play here too, but that's not our topic today. A very brief summary for those who aren't familiar, or as a reminder for those who are. First, insulin and fat. Sugar quickly raises blood glucose levels, the body releases insulin, and the excess energy is stored and locked away as fat. So this life hack with greens is meant to prevent that very effect from happening. You feel tired, the energy spikes after something sweet, then suddenly crashes, leaving you fatigued and craving more sweets. A very interesting point. I remember when I used to work a long time ago at a consulting company, and I was assisting a speaker who came to conduct a very intensive 2-day seminar. And he told me, absolutely no sweets, not in coffee, not anywhere, no desserts, nothing at all, no sugar anywhere. I asked, do you have some kind of diet? He said, no. On seminar days, I don't use any sweeteners because my energy spikes sharply, and about half an hour later, I become gloomy and sleepy. If I have some very active work for a couple of days, like during seminars, teaching, or training, I simply can't allow myself any sweets because it's just a physical reaction of the body. Next, for everyone who has any skin problems, because sometimes there are people who can eat an elephant and nothing happens to them, but I'm not like that, and most people aren't either. So that's why sugar has an effect. Sugar destroys collagen through the process of glycation, which causes the skin to age faster and wrinkles to appear, especially if you have a sweet tooth, and especially if you don't take additional collagen as a supplement in your daily diet. For example, I drink Dr. Berg's collagen, 2 servings a day. You can actually look up information about sagging skin. I have a video on my channel, it's one of the very first ones. And it's just super top notch about how to tone your skin with collagen, meaning not just the quality of the skin on your face, but also on your body. In short, sugar will counteract collagen. Next, health. Excess sugar increases the risk of diabetes, inflammation, and vascular problems. So if you have any predispositions, you need to control your sugar intake, right? Basically, in simple terms, every time we eat ice cream, it's a little party for sugar inside us, but then it's a hangover for our skin, energy, and figure. And by the way, after eating carbs, you really can feel a hangover, especially for people who don't drink alcohol. Well, people who drink alcohol won't notice this after eating sugar because they have a different kind of hangover. That's just how it is. All right, let's continue. Who needs to avoid sugar and under what circumstances? First of all, girls, everyone who's on a diet and currently in the process of losing weight, just hang in there. Because for you, it's basically a sugar bomb that sets you back a whole week. It causes swelling, it throws off your entire routine, and so on, right? People with skin problems. So if you have any kind of breakouts or skin issues, then no. If you have that loose skin all over your body that looks kind of like either cellulite or swelling, I assure you, even if you don't work out, run, or do anything about your stretch marks or fascia, all those things that are so popular right now, and simply cut out sugar, that wavy texture of your skin will go away. Because in most cases, it's swelling and an inflammatory process inside the dermis and subcutaneous fat, and that's what creates that lumpiness. In reality, it's an inflammatory process in the tissues. Next, with diabetes and insulin resistance, but your doctor has already told you about that. That's not really my area of expertise anymore. Who can have it occasionally? If you have a balanced diet, for example, you've lost weight and are maintaining a weight you like, or maybe you haven't lost weight at all, you're just at a stage where you feel okay. Basically, you can have ice cream once or twice a week, but only if the rest of your daily meals throughout the week are clean and you don't have an excess of carbohydrates. And it's important that on that day, you don't have any other carbs at all because you're consuming your entire sugar allowance with the ice cream. That is, you should also be eating foods that most likely don't contain these sweeteners. And then everything will work out perfectly for you. In short, after such a guilty pleasure, I'll probably have to go for a run tomorrow to get myself back on track. Well, anyway. If you like our format, the show Igimenopukol, then subscribe to our channel and we'll be happy to show you a new restaurant visit every week where we actually eat from the menu whatever we want, whatever is really popular, whatever people love. And we find out if something is just way too much and if it's really something you shouldn't eat while on a diet. Or sometimes in general, it's more or less okay. Sometimes we're even surprised when we eat something, break it down by calories and realize, well, actually, it's not that bad. So in fact, you can really allow yourself to have it a few times a week with great pleasure and without any guilt. Sometimes it's really not obvious at all. In short, the point of this show is to help people navigate restaurant food and calories because calories aren't listed on the menu. So you end up ordering something from the menu, either thinking, well, if the barn's on fire, let the house burn too. Or you try to sit there picking some bland chicken, some salad without dressing, and so on and so forth, even though you could have eaten something much tastier. So subscribe, hit the like button, recommend me to your friends, and leave comments, especially about which cuisine you'd like us to visit and break down next time. And ideally, suggest a specific dish too, because I'm not really an expert. Usually others pick for me. But I can order exactly what you eat and we'll analyze it together. Bye-bye.